Again, horrible scenes on a California freeway Tuesday. We warn you, of course, this video could be very upsetting. 3 people were killed when a semi-truck driven by an illegal immigrant plowed into traffic just east of Los Angeles. It's the most recent of several incidents across the country that we've been reporting on for you here. And William Lajeunesse is in L.A. with more. Hi, William.
Well, Dana, sources say the driver is a 21-year-old illegal immigrant caught and released at the California border by the Biden administration in March of 2022. Yet the state of California gave Jashanpreet Singh, an Indian national living near San Francisco, a commercial driver's license. CHP charged him with DUI and multiple counts of vehicular manslaughter while intoxicated. He's expected in court today.
Where you can see this red semi truck. This is what the CHP told me. The 21-year-old driver from Yuba City was driving this red semi truck. He was responsible for this 8-vehicle collision and has since been arrested for suspicion of DUI. He's been released from the hospital and he's been booked into jail. All right, we also have a live look from News Chopper 4 overhead. You can see traffic moving slowly. Only the 2 fast track lanes are open right now. This big scene, this has been here for hours. 4 semi-trucks, 2 cars, and 2 pickup trucks were all involved in this violent collision. It happened around 1:15 this afternoon. CHP says the 3 people who died were either in the cars or the pickup trucks. A total of 4 were injured, including the semi-truck driver, who CHP says caused the accident, a mechanic that was helping change a tire of another semi-truck that was disabled on the side of the freeway. That happened before this crash, and 2 more in either the trucks or the cars.
Yo, what's up? So, today in this video, I'm going to talk about a article I read last week in the Washington Post. The article was published October 16th by Rachel Hazapingo. I'm probably butchering that name. I'm not doing it on purpose. It's just a lot of consonants and vowels in that name. But anyways, the title of the article is New England exam sidelines 6,000 truckers testing the U.S. supply chain. So I'm just gonna pick pieces out of each article. It's kind of long and lengthy. I'll put the link to the article in the description down below so y'all can read it. Let's see. Between June 1st and Monday that week, about 6,000 truck drivers were pulled off the road for English proficiency violations, according to the Washington Post. Analysts of the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration. Now, I think that's one of the few things that are actually accurate with this article. See, it also talks about how on Wednesday the transportation department announced that it would withhold more than $40 million in funding to California, accusing the state of failing to comply with the new English language proficiencies requirements. So, first off, the new English proficiency requirements. These are not new. It has been a law on the books for decades. And the fact that she's calling it a new law, and then you read into the article a bit more, she acknowledges, and I quote, the English proficiency exams had been given for years, but in 2016 the Obama administration loosened the rules, saying drivers who failed the test would get a ticket rather than pulled out of service. So if this is a new rule, then why did Obama loosen it in 2016, a decade ago. But we'll not state the obvious with that. But I will say that it's interesting the part where she states on Wednesday, the Department of Transportation withheld more than $48 million in funding for California. The money that was taken from California, that $40 million was part of the Federal Motor Carriers Highway Safety Program. That money was given to California for highway safety. If they're not going to enforce highway safety, then why should they get the money? Why should they be given money to do something and then not do it? And then on top of that, a week after this funding was pulled, look what just happened in Florida. Like, is that not obvious? But yeah, I guarantee you, I bet you anything, I promise you, I see this coming. Newsom is going to try and turn this back. He's going to try and blame the Trump administration. He's going to try and blame Duffy, saying, well, we couldn't have prevented it because you took our money. I see that coming. I see it coming. Newsom is going to try and flip the narrative and say that it's the Department of Transportation's fault that he can't keep his highways safe. Even though he flat out refuses to enforce English proficiency. So, this article also goes in to talk about how a big chunk of the industry is made up of Latino drivers who work really hard and safely, even if their English isn't perfect. You know I got to talk about this. I need to say this right now. How much bullshit that paragraph is, that sentence is. First off, Latino drivers, they don't make up that big of a chunk of the industry. Yes, there are a lot of Latino drivers out there. And yes, they do work very hard. And yes, I support Latino drivers. But they don't make up the majority. They just don't. Now, let's move on to how they're going to be and this makes it seem like they're being targeted simply because they're Latino. No, you're trying to set a narrative that don't exist. I know a lot of Latino truck drivers out there. Some of them speak perfect English. Most of them speak perfect English. Most of them speak perfect, fluent English. And there's a lot of Latino drivers out there. They're not fluent in English, but their English is good enough to pass the English proficiency. They're still able to pass the exam if they are required to take it. Now, I'm gonna touch on a third part that she mentioned in the article about Mexican truck drivers. I'll agree that is the biggest gray area. A lot of Mexican truck drivers who do come over the border to deliver freight, a lot of them are not proficient in English. In fact, a lot of them will fail the English language proficiency exam. But, here's the catch. Mexican truck drivers who fail the English proficiency exam typically do not get put out of service. For the most part, they're exempt from the out of service. And why is that? It is because of our cabotage agreement with Mexico and Canada. Because we have a cabotage in those two countries. And according to that cabotage, Mexican truck drivers can deliver Mexican freight into the United States, and then they can pick up a load in the United States to bring back to Mexico. So, in a lot of cases, they are exempt from the out of service part. They're exempt from being placed out of service for the most part. So, they're not being sidelined. Not on a macro level. Not in the way that this article is trying to paint the narrative. So, another thing that is it hasn't been officially put into this article, but another thing that's going up a lot there's a lot of talk about is their timeline. Where is it? I want to make sure I'm quoting everything correctly out of this article. Where is it? So I can't find it. But another thing she cites is the English proficiency came out after the accident in Florida, where that driver did the illegal U-turn on the interstate. No. Her timeline is a little off on that, if I remember her timeline correctly. The correct timeline is the English proficiency laws when it got reinforced, because they were never gone away. But Trump signed the executive order, and it became in effect in the end of June. Then, after it goes into effect, the accident in Florida happened, where the truck driver tried to do the illegal U-turn on the highway, killing 3 people in a minivan. So, in response to that happening, it came out that there was the argument that that truck driver didn't speak English. New Mexico got a little bit of got some smoke about that, because they did a roadside inspection and they passed his English proficiency. So initially they tried to blame New Mexico for allowing him to go back onto the highways. New Mexico responded by showing body cam footage of that inspection, and it showed the interaction between the officer and that driver. In my opinion, that driver's English was proficient. It wasn't perfect, it wasn't fluent, but it just by seeing the communication between the officer and the driver, I would say his English was proficient. But on the flip side, after the accident happened, it came out that he was an illegal or a foreigner from India, came into the country illegally, filed for asylum, and then after getting into that accident, he tried to escape, go back to California, and ultimately tried to get out of the country and go back home in order to avoid punishment or answering for the illegal U-turn. Since then, that is when ICE agents started taking up residency and DOT way stations. And then after they took up residence in the DOT way stations, they ran a sting operation out of Oklahoma where it came out that over 261 drivers that they pulled over were in fact illegally entered this country and were driving illegally, and they were driving with falsified or fraudulent CDL licenses, which caused the immediate halt of issuance of CDL drivers to H1 and B1 visas. And since then, California has still refused to enforce the English proficiency. And now we're pretty much caught up with the timeline. So I guess the major question next would be the answer: why did all these foreign nationals come here to the United States just to get into the trucking industry? So now we should probably talk about that. We'll start the story off back almost 5 years ago. Let's see, once upon a time, back in 2021. How did this story go? Oh yeah. So back then there was a problem with the trucking industry. It wasn't a driver shortage, and never was a driver shortage. In fact, the ATA finally admitted that they lied about the driver shortage. Finally. So there was never a driver shortage. It was a driver retention issue. So let's talk about that. What is a driver retention issue? So let's just look at trucking for a minute. I mean, and be outright honest. Truck driving sucks. This job sucks. I mean, who would want to do this? I mean, you're basically living out of a truck. You got homeless status. You're living out of your truck for 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 1 month, 2 months, sometimes 3 months. You're living out of your truck. And you're away from home. You are away from home. You're not seeing your family for anywhere between 3 weeks to 3 months. Who wants that? Who? But yet, there's people out here doing this every single day. They are making that sacrifice. So, if that's not bad enough, we got corporate bullshit. And I guess that's where the story really begins. Mega carriers, they have a horrible reputation. They treat their drivers like shit. Straight up. If you work for a mega carrier, you're not a person, you're not an individual. You are a fucking truck and a BOL number. That's all you are to them. You're labor. You are replaceable. And That's how they treat you. So, who wants to work like that? Who wants to feel like that? So, nobody wants to work for mega carriers because of that. So, what does the mega carriers do? They start throwing money at the ATA, the American Trucking Association. And let's be clear about, and let's throw it right out there right now about the American Trucking Association. They do not represent American trucking. They don't. They do not represent the truck driver. They don't represent trucking. Those fucking ass clowns represent corporate greed. That's all they are. It's a representation of corporate greed. So these mega carriers just throw millions and millions and millions of dollars at the ATA. The ATA starts throwing millions and millions of dollars at politicians and during lobbying sessions, crying out on top of the mountain, "No, we don't have enough drivers to move America. We need more drivers." And the Obama administration, they fell in. They believed the bullshit. They believed it. That is why the Obama administration loosened the laws on English proficiency. That is why since the Obama administration, there has been programs to import truck drivers from other countries. They're importing truck drivers. Why? Cheap labor. That is why they are importing non-American truck drivers. Cheap labor. Why is a mega carrier going to pay me what I am worth when they could just pick up a guy in East Afghanistan and pay him fractions on the penny? This guy will run a load for a third of my rates of what I would have to be paid. Not only that, he will openly violate FMCSA laws to get that load there even quicker. So, again, why is a foreign carrier, or why is a mega carrier gonna hire me to haul a load legally for the price I am worth when they can get it done cheap? So that is where the mass labor dumping began. So now the trucking industry became what it is today. This is the consequences of that labor dumping by mega carriers. So now fast forward to 2025, and now we got the Trump administration in office trying to fix the problem. Trump administration is trying to clean up the trucking industry. We have so many unqualified truck drivers. We have so much freight fraud going on, and it's gotten so horrible that a lot of American truck drivers, they don't want to be involved in it. They get out of trucking because it's just not worth it anymore. And now we're at a crossroads because of the accident that happened in Florida, because of the accident that happened in Tennessee, the accidents that happened in Florida, and now the accident in California. Lives have been lost. People have died because of this corporate greed. And when is America gonna say enough is enough? When are we gonna tell Warner mega carriers it's time to change? When are we gonna sit there and tell Jeff Bezos to get his fucking head off his ass and stop hiring dangerous drivers to move his freight? Because Jeff Bezos is just as guilty. Amazon drivers or people contracted, independent contractors who haul Amazon trailers are the biggest offenders. And when it comes to safety on our highways. Right now, Jeff Bezos, his policies are to hire the cheapest and most unqualified, just so he could get your Amazon orders delivered fast and cheap. Warner, they're currently involved in the program with Kenya, training Kenya truck drivers to haul in the U.S. They deny it, but I don't believe them. I mean, I don't believe them. If they're not involved in the Kenya CDL program, then why were they there? Why are they involved in the meetings with Kenya officials? But again, they claim that they're not, and I'm speculating. Warner, I'm speculating on that. But again, why would they be involved with talks with Kenyan nationals if they're not involved with the Kenya CDL program? But I don't know. I'd like to know that answer. I'd like to know the truth about that one. But yeah, we need to start uniting, and we need to start cleaning up the trucking industry. We need to make the highways safe again for all people in America, foreign or domestic. And I say foreign and domestic because I happen to be pro-immigration. I happen to be a firm believer that everybody in the world should be given an opportunity to share the same dream that I was born in. I believe that with all my heart. But again, when it comes to trucking, it's about safety. We need to make trucking safe